I said all of last week that I thought the Eagles were vulnerable and that this was a winnable game for the Jets, and sure enough, they pulled out the victory and got the franchise's first ever win against the Eagles yesterday. It was kind of a weird game. In the first quarter and a half or so of the game, it looked like the Eagles were going to run away with it. They went up 14-3, and on both of those drives, they marched right down the field. But the Jets defense stepped up after that and got 4 turnovers, a fumble, and 3 Jalen Hurts interceptions. Meanwhile, the Jets offense had 0 turnovers. Not many teams are able to win when they lose the turnover margin by 4. And no turnover was bigger than the interception in the fourth quarter that led to Breece Hall's winning touchdown. Overall, I thought this was another solid game for Zach Wilson. He was 19 of 33 for 186 yards with no touchdowns and no interceptions, but he did have the pass to Randall Cobb for the 2-point conversion. So the box score really isn't anything special, but there were some penalties and some drops that just kind of killed the momentum a few times and prevented the Jets from having a chance to score a touchdown. The most notable one was in the second half when the Jets were driving down the field. Zach drew the Eagles off sides and threw it to Garrett Wilson, and he took it all the way down inside the 10-yard line. He knew it was a free play, so he was aggressive on purpose. But then Allen Lazard got called for a completely unnecessary illegal blindside block that not only negated the big gain, but also overrode the offsides call and backed the Jets up 15 yards from the original spot. Then on the very next play, Zach threw it right to Lazard and he dropped it, which brought up 3rd and 23, and the Jets ended up punting. So I mean, just talk about a killer penalty. The Jets went from being inside the 10 and getting at worst a field goal to ending up with no points. And don't get me wrong, the Jets have to be better in the red zone, and part of that is on Zach. But when you have so many drops and penalties in crucial spots, it's hard to make it into the end zone. I thought Zach did what was asked of him and put the team in position to win. He may not have led any touchdown drives, but at least he was getting them into the red zone and into field goal range. He also didn't have any turnovers. I think the biggest thing though for me is that Zach looks extremely comfortable out there. He doesn't look overwhelmed or afraid to make throws like he did against the Patriots. He honestly just looks like he's having fun out there, and he looks completely different to the player we saw last year and even early this year. The stats back it up too. He's completing a career high 60% of his passes and is close to matching his stats from last year already, and he's done it in 3 less games. The schedule gets way easier after the bye too, so if Zach keeps stacking good games and the Jets stay healthy, I see no reason why they couldn't be in the playoff hunt towards the end of the season. Their defense is good enough to put them in position to win every single week. Really, the only bad game the defense had this year was against the Cowboys, and they've played against 3 of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league. Oh, and by the way, Aaron Rodgers is throwing already. Imagine if he is able to come back during the regular season. I think that's unlikely, but he's recovering at an unprecedented pace for an Achilles tear, and you just never know what's going to happen. There's still room for improvement, especially in the red zone, but the Jets are definitely heading in the right direction, and Zach is proving Robert Saleh right in sticking with him.